What's something incompetent people ruined? Historic landmarks. Sign, don't touch the irreplaceable 2,000-year-old monument. Tourist engraves initials into irreplaceable 2,000-year-old monument. Stonehenge used to be accessible to the public, used to be able to touch the stones and everything until people started chipping parts off. Now you have to stand behind a rope really quite far from the site. The microwave at work. Someone set the time for 14 minutes on high and didn't think to put anything inside the machine. It resulted in a horrible smelling meltdown and destroyed it. Every process at my job, we've got fences, sensors, marker checks, double checks, triple checks, extra paperwork to sign saying we did it right, and yet people still seem to ship incomplete parts to our customer. They're probably all too busy doing this dumb paperwork. Chemistry sets for kids. They used to have fun stuff that could hurt you if used incorrectly. Now they have color changing reactions and litmus paper. No explosions or fire. Pretty much everything gets ruined by incompetent morons. Computers. Nobody really wants to learn to use the darned thing properly. They'd rather have the nerd or geek around them hold their hand through such rudimentary things as turning the darn thing on and off, or how to plug the square plug into the square port. Small pickups. Our incompetent government and things like the chicken tax and cafes footprint law mean no small, easily maneuverable pickups, and the incompetent manufacturers can't seem to come up with a small, think old Ford Ranger or Datsun 720 hardbody sized pickup that can get 30-35 miles per gallon using a regular 4-cylinder gas engine. I've always thought that some of those small pickups should still be being made. The ones I see have held up amazingly well. Those spinning things at playgrounds. Those were the best play structure, and morons had to ruin it by bashing their heads in. Self-checkout. It's supposed to be a quick alternative to waiting in line for when you're only buying up to a maximum of 10 or so items. It's so foolproof. All you have to do is scan or code in your items, place them on the platform, pay, and leave. Yet, every time I buy groceries, I'm haunted by a chorus of please wait for assistance as dumb fucks haul their cart full of produce to the self-checkout and take 3 hours to undergo a process that at most would take 3 minutes with a clerk. Legitimate access to certain medicines. A few idiots sold their Xanax or Vicodin and now doctors and the D are horrified of anyone getting them. Apparently, it's now common for the doctors who will actually prescribe them to order drug tests of the people they're prescribed to make sure they're actually taking them at all. That is ridiculous to me. Xbox Live Gaming. It used to be fun for everyone to get their headsets and mic on. But D-bag little kids ruin it for everyone because they don't know how to act right. Honestly, I've been using party chat since the 360. I haven't really met anyone new on Xbox Live because of it, and really staying insulated is somewhat encouraged because of it. I've been playing with the same people on Xbox Live for like 11 years now. The technology industry. Too many people with overnight degree certifications. Too many offshore vendors with zero accountability working for pennies. Too many shift workers who go home for the day after they royally frick something up and leave it for the next person to clean up. The hardware guys blame the software guys. The software guys blame the network guys. And no one knows enough about each other's jobs to accurately prove who's at fault. I'm a senior person and I feel like a goddamn referee as I'm usually the person who has to come into an emergency and point the finger at who fricked up. It's like a technical game of Clue. I love solving a whodunit but no one really cares if Colonel Mustard did it with a candlestick in the study or not. Or that Colonel Mustard is probably some guy in a third world country who is subcontracted 3 times and actually makes about $3 an hour. If CM makes a mistake they want that crap fixed ASAP and it will happen again, but it'll be a different dude in another place who'll make the same dumb mistake but it'll take another 24 hours to find it. Think it's easier the second time? Heck no. Don't know if it was technically ruined for us because most of us got a kick out of it, but for its original intentions. That only Twitter bot Microsoft tried out, for a while and the internet just turned her into a goddamn racist, pot smoking, Nazi loving, feminist hating monster lol. But I mean, for the internet, hilarious as frick. I'm sure Microsoft wasn't that pleased at the results though. What I mean, what did they expect? Did programs like Cleverbot teach them nothing? This is probably what's going to happen with real ice. Fine in lab conditions, because all the scientists will be taking it seriously, but if ice get released into the mainstream, human beings are probably going to frick with it and completely mess up its personality and make it hate humans. Because humans hate other humans. And, long story short, that's how the robot war starts. Helicopter parents ruined so much crap. When I was a kid we rode bikes, we built forts, we played in the woods. Now kids aren't allowed out of the house without a fricking homing beacon and a GoPro live streaming to their parents' iPhone. Decent cold medicine. Thanks to M-heads, I now need to make a reservation to buy Advil cold and sinus. It would be quicker to buy a gun. Airport security, Homeland Security, fascist sounding as frick, and that have made an absolute crap show of airport security in the US. It is security theater at its finest. Illogical, incompetent and not to mention, inconsistent. Run by people with, maybe, high school degrees and, combined with inflexible airline policies many of which are fostered by the same groups, has entirely too much power to frick up your carefully planned vacations and business trips. The incompetence is breathtaking. Mexico City, in the pre-colonized days, when the Spanish arrived, it must have looked so cool to see such a marvel, and then they burned it to the ground in the name of God or Spain. I can't remember which. Because of their pride and idiocy, we lost a historical marvel, a full city that had developed completely without European influence. Note that I'm not saying all Roman Catholics are idiots. I'm saying that these were idiots who just so happened to be Roman Catholic. Tenochtitlan, Mexico City is the name of the city built on top of it. Nuclear energy. A lot of people's fears today spawned from the Chernobyl incident, which was caused by the idiot manager was actively ignoring important safety procedures because he felt like the plant wasn't producing enough energy. This moron spawned a worldwide fear of nuclear energy. IT help desk. Not those in the profession. For the most part, incompetent users who know just enough to be dangerous but not enough to do things correctly. Off-campus high school lunch. In my sophomore year, some freshmen thought they were hot crap and vandalized a bunch of houses near our school while on lunch. After that incident, only seniors could leave campus on their lunch break. Lots of local businesses shut down from the lack of customers that resulted. If those freshmen had literally done nothing, life would have been swell for the 2,000 plus students. I heard this story about a lady in Austria. She was on a tour for the Sound of Music movie. She was an older lady, maybe 60 or 70. She was in the glass house thing where Liesel and her boyfriend were singing and Liesel was running around dancing. This lady decides that she would like to replicate this scene. Mind you, this house is much smaller in real life, but the lady was jumping from bench to bench, but fell off and broke a hip. Now, she was American, and thought she could sue the Austrian government for allowing her to get hurt. What? I am completely incapable of comprehending this stupidity. The judge apparently just started laughing when he read her complaint and told her to get out of Austria. He apparently said, "This isn't America. You can't sue for this sort of thing here." I can't fathom this sort of stupidity. Anyway, now no one can go into that house because of one idiot American. The patent system, ruined by companies to make registering your invention too expensive for pretty much anyone but companies. All those horrible people inventing crap in their garage and ruining your business model. And patent trolls abusing the system. Old TV networks. Kid channels like Cartoon Network and Nick mostly release shows, with some exceptions, so disconnected from their audience. Outdated jokes, dumbing down the humor, and making a swarm of shallow and cheaply made shows. But they don't try anymore. The last decade is a slew of horrible train wrecks and shameless reboots with random moments of excellence they later ruin. Then we have channels like History, Discovery, and other educational channels. They went from releasing thought-provoking and interesting documentaries and shows to all sorts of pseudo-crap. They think people are so dumb that they release the most pathetic excuses of topics I've ever seen. Incompetent CEOs rely on desperately trying to connect with people while failing terribly. Games. Hear me out. Here, games used to be where you just pay for the game and play it. You'd play it single player, maybe multiplayer, depending. Now, so many new games are multiplayer cash grabs that amount to "oh, you want to win? Just pay this small fee and you can have X advantage for X amount of time." This is becoming more and more accepted, and it's at the point where people have boasted to me about a new game that has no microtransactions. That's how games are supposed to be. In Montana, we used to have reasonable and prudent speed limits on interstates highways given the weather, traffic, time of day, etc. Unfortunately, a great number of morons interpreted this as no speed limit whatsoever. Driving 150 plus mph is never reasonable or prudent, ever. Needless to say, after about a year, speed limits were introduced. Architecture. There are so many examples of people saying, "Well heck, I can do that. I'll save money by not hiring an architect," to then what they end up with is a poorly built, poorly thought out, energy hogging clusterfuck of a building. There's a reason architects go to school for almost as long as doctors, then have to pass 7 exams to be legally qualified to practice in the United States. If you're building anything, you will save yourself the cost of services at least by hiring an experienced architect to design it properly. Gonna be edgy here, World of Warcraft. Although I'm not sure where to place the blame here, either on Blizzard or the community. Both have faults and contributed to the decline of the game. But who has done worse? I'd lean toward the community, just because when I left that's what I felt was lacking in the game. Sure, people come and go in online games, but it just got harder and harder to find people who were there for the same reasons I was. I never wanted to be a raider, don't want to RP, just explore the universe, run a few dungeons now and then. By the time I quit, it would frequently just be me in abandoned zones, talking to myself in chat and grinding away. I spent 3 hours in Desolace and never saw another player. Same for Feralus. Gun laws. I watched a news clip the other day and the interviewer asked this woman what a barrel shroud was. A barrel shroud is a cover over the barrel so people don't burn themselves on them. She said, "I don't know. It's the shoulder thing that goes up." I assume she was talking about the stock, but I don't know where she got the idea that it goes up. Then the interviewer pointed out that it is in her legislation, and she has no idea what it is. Another good clip I saw was of a man saying that the gun had a 30 magazine clip, and that the gun could shoot 30 rounds in half a second. There are many more cringe-worthy videos of politicians trying to act like they know about guns. Another good clip. Magazine. Cthulhu. I can make Cthulhu references and everybody laughs. Mention the Mad Arab or the Necronomicon and it becomes blatant how many people don't read. Also insane is how many people know H.P. Lovecraft wrote Call of Cthulhu, have Cthulhu wallpapers, and haven't read a short story despite it being less than 50 pages long in most publications. Well, it has always been that way. H.P. Lovecraft was always someone outside the limelight. Having children. There should really be some kind of paperwork to fill out. Anyone can just go and make a baby, but adopting a child seems like such a lengthy, rigorous process. Colt firearms. Used to have an iconic reputation for quality, with old Colts fetching tens of thousands of dollars as collector's items. In recent decades, they quit making their signature firearms, revolvers, and their reputation for quality has suffered. It would be like if Toyota quit making Corollas and decided to focus on trucks. I agree with Colt, but it was more that they shifted focus to government contract M4s, and now their stuff is severely overpriced compared to the competition. But as for your Toyota analogy, their trucks are some of the best around. They maintain their value better than any other truck. Fame. Think about it, fame back then was being someone in a movie or a singer, heck even being a politician meant you had fame. But ever since these incompetent freaking 13 years olds picked up an iPhone and lip synced to some crappy Drake song that now apparently makes them famous. Rage comics. The best ones followed a lot of the principles of good comic design. Show don't tell. It's a visual medium. But they went downhill once people started using whole paragraphs and panels. I've seen entire corporations ruined because of the crony system. I've seen good people do bad things because incompetent people ask them to. Airlines. The TSA, which should stand for Theatrics Security Agency, is a waste of everyone's time, a waste of everyone's money, gives screeners every opportunity to go on power trips and abuse their authority with few repercussions, and even after all this, they still are really bad at detecting or stopping actual threats. But hey, at least we've eliminated the scourge of unsecured water bottles. Civil rights. The incompetent backcrap insane people have caused most movements to be reduced to a laughingstock, slowing down any actual progress. The Library of Alexandria, a huge repository of tons of ancient knowledge that was burned down because of war. Like, we would know so much about ancient history if it was still in existence. Movies. So many great projects get ruined by the studios behind them. At first there's a great vision, and then the studio behind it decides to change it, either to make it more marketable, or to push an agenda, to pander to certain groups of people, to make it easier to understand, to make it longer, to allow sequels, to keep rights, to keep out certain people, to bring in certain people, to keep it PG-13. The list of bulls studios pulled on projects is long. A great example is the Dark Tower project right now. Idris Elba cast a Roland, which does not sound too bad. Idris Elba is awesome. Just Roland is white and the books and many of the character interactions rely on him being white. Video games. Why do they all want to hold my hand while I play them these days? Where is the challenge? Why are the Soulspawn games all alone and actually making people play them instead of railroading them through? Veganism. Admittedly, there has never been a time that I can think of where incompetent people weren't the public face of veganism. From PETA to Freely the Banana Girl. But these idiots have ruined the image of what is actually a healthy and ethical diet. I'm not going to force anyone to go vegan, but if you want a more logical perspective on the benefits of veganism, you should check out Unnatural Vegan and Bite-Sized Vegan on YouTube. Like literally most of the toys from my childhood, lawn darts were freaking awesome. I literally had my Battlestar Galactica action playset yanked out of my hands on my birthday and it was sent back to the store because one frickin' retarded kid on the news choked to death on a plastic missile. Toys used to be dangerous and awesome. I played with toys that could set you on fire and chop off your fingers at the same time. Top that for excitement. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.